Hello everyone, welcome back. Today we're going to be trying to predict the AMC 10B cutoff for Amy predictions. So let's get into it. So looking at the test, once again, similar to what I did in the 10A, you can check that video out. Basically what I did was I'm trying to look at the front end of the test, since that's really what determines the Amy cutoff. So let's focus into that. So looking at the first 10 problems of the 10B, these problems are like pretty easy compared to the 10A due to the fact that it's much harder to make silly mistakes on these types of problems rather than like the pure difficulty between the tests. So like when you're like rushing through the first 10, these are like you won't miss as many problems since like the depth that these go to aren't really that tricky when solving for them. So like 1 through 10, pretty doable problems. Now let's look at problem 11. So this typical problem shouldn't be too difficult. Problem 12 and 13 provided some issues for some people, since like on problem 12 it's hard to come up with the fact that 9 choose 4 is the way to go. And problem 13, some people might try different things. So like the depth of approaches, there's so many of those. So that like affects how people do it. Then problem 14, pretty doable problem. And problem 15, this was a really hard problem. Many people found it difficult. But the thing is, when you're taking a test, it's always a good strategy to choose exactly what you want to focus on. So if you just skip this problem, you would be pretty fine. However, many people didn't do that, so this was a pretty big time sink for some people. So really my assessment of the first 15 is that the vast majority of it is pretty easy and not really sillyable. So just due to that, the cutoff is a bit higher than the 10A, I would say. But one thing that really pushes the cutoff even higher is the fact that the late mid-range and even the final 5 have some really nice gimme problems. For example, problem 18. If you're doing a last-minute study review before the test and you learned about Euler-Stoichern theorem, you don't really need to have any creativity in the way you apply it, because this is just a direct application of it. So that's like 3 points if you knew what it was. Then we can even go to the final 5. Over here, this is a pretty routine multiplication principle problem. Like there's no stinge to it. It's just Manila. It's right there. Problem 23. After you're like exhausted for doing like 15 problems at the front, this can be a nice few-minute bash to get another 6 points. And even problem 24 and 25 were like approachable to people. It's not like you're struggling to think off the approach. You already see the approach in the problem. Like this one is just how many values work. So you already know what's the worst way to do it. So it's not really that hard to figure out the best way to do it. So yeah, that's pretty much my assessment of the 10B. Much easier, less sillyable test than the 10A. So because of these factors, I'm going to say that the cutoff is going to be 105. But once again, don't take this too seriously because these are just predictions. Wait till the actual cutoff comes out in like a month. But thank you for watching. If you like this content, please like and subscribe.